children were being poisoned by a water system that had outrageous levels of lead in that system. But it's not only in Flint. Flint may be the worst case, but we have deteriorating water systems all over America, wastewater plants falling apart, our roads in bad shape in my state, many bridges in disrepair, levees, dams, airports, our rail system falling further and further behind other countries. If we invest, as I intend to do, $1 trillion in rebuilding our infrastructure, we can create 13 million good-paying jobs. Everybody here knows that we live in a highly competitive global economy. And everybody here knows that the future of our country, economically and through a democratic sense, is that we need to have the best educated workforce in the world. And everybody also knows that there are hundreds of thousands of bright, qualified young people who want to go to college but can't go to college because they're not I believe that when we look at public education in America today, we have to understand that the world and the economy have changed. 50 years ago, 30 years ago, a public education which gave us first grade to 12th grade free education was fine, it was adequate. But the economy has changed. People need more education today. In the year 2016, we've got to be talking about making public colleges and universities tuition free. Some people think this is a radical idea. I don't. I think it is an absolutely commonsensical idea. It already exists. It already exists in Germany, Scandinavia, other countries around the world. And let me tell you something that few people know. The idea of virtually free tuition in public colleges and universities used to exist in America 50, 60 years ago. Now, people say, well, Bernie, that's a great idea, but it's expensive. It is expensive. And it is also expensive to substantially lower student debt in this country. Because millions of Americans should not be punished because they chose to get a good education. Tuition in public colleges and universities, and how you're going to lower student debt. It's expensive, and this is my response. All of you remember that as a result of the greed, recklessness, and illegal behavior of Wall Street, this country was driven into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Millions of people suffered. They lost their jobs, their homes, and their life savings. Well, I believe that now is the time to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. If Congress could bail out and bring those products back into America. Didn't take a PhD to figure that out. You are looking at a former congressman and a senator today who has not only voted against, but has led the opposition against NAFTA. State of Ohio, you have lost more than 300,000 manufacturing jobs between 1994 and 2015. 31% of all manufacturing jobs in Ohio, but it's not just Ohio. In my state, all over this country, people saw their factories and decent paying jobs shut down. Plants moved to Mexico, China, people hired at desperately low wages, and those products brought back to America. I will tell you a brief story. In the early 1990s, I went to the Maquiladora area in Mexico, and I'll never forget what I saw. What I saw there were all of these brand new, state-of-the-art factories, American factories, some European factories. And I said, you know, I want to talk to the workers. I want to visit the homes of the workers who work in those factories. The only problem was I could not visit the homes of the workers who worked in those factories because they did not have homes. They lived in cardboard shacks, then making 25 cents an hour. Like it was yesterday. Filthy water, they had one light bulb strung up, connected to some electric outlet someplace. Those were the people who were working in those factories. They were exploited people. Millions of people in Mexico had to leave their farms, come into the big cities, become unemployed. We are going together to end these disastrous trade agreements which have cost this country millions of decent paying jobs. We are going to create trade agreements that work for workers, not just the CEOs of companies. Secretary Clinton's record is very different. She supported virtually every one of those major disastrous trade agreements. When the choice came as to whether you're going to be on the side of workers or corporate America, she made her choice. I made a very different choice. Secretary Clinton and myself is how we raise the funds we need to run our campaigns. Sadly, but truthfully, it takes hundreds of millions of dollars to run for President of the United States. That's the reality. And we have to make a choice early on. Should we do what every other candidate does and develop a super PAC? Well, we agreed with you. We said we don't represent Wall Street, we don't represent corporate America, we don't represent the billionaire class. We're not going to beg them for money. We don't need a super PAC. Then something happened that was really extraordinary. We simply reached out to working families and we said, if you want a candidate who is going to take on the billionaire class and fight to transform our economy, we need your help. And you know what happened in the last 10 months? We have have received over 5 million individual campaign contributions than any candidate in American history at this point in time. Anybody here know what the average contribution is? $27. Is that you can run a winning national campaign without being dependent on the big money interest, and I'm very proud.